course, exercise leads to better fitness, but can physical activity also promote recovery? Some paralyzed people who pursue vigorous physical therapy apparently gain significant functional benefits.
Well, this is a bodyweight support system that I built here for my home. It's based on experience I had last year in a clinical trial in Florida, and at the University of Florida, where I spent close to 3 months doing bodyweight supported treadmill training. When I was first injured, I was basically a full-time wheelchair user for a year and a half, and then started walking short distances with a walker and graduated to loft-strand crutches. By getting on a system like this and walking, and especially walking as near as possible to what used to be my normal walking speed, I can essentially retrain my lower spinal cord to walk.
One of the most surprising and interesting and exciting discoveries of the last 10 years for spinal cord injury is that intensive exercise can restore function.
So I'm going to speed it up now to 2 miles an hour.
If you don't use it, you will learn not to use it. And this is called learned non-use. That's the bad news. The good news is that if you really intensively train yourself, even 10 years after an injury, you can get function back.
Much of the recent research on what's called locomotor or treadmill training comes from Dr. Susan Harkema, now at the Kentucky Spinal Cord Injury Research Center.
Well, we've certainly seen functional recovery. We've seen significant recovery in people who had been injured for many years, 3 years or more, 5 years. Now, the level of recovery is different for every individual. So there's a lot of factors that go into whether a person will recover either standing or walking. By doing the activity that you want to learn, showing that to the nervous system, by helping to move the legs, you're able to reteach, in a sense, the nervous system to do something that it did before the injury. Well, what was found in animal studies was that even without the brain, there were behaviors that could be shown that showed the spinal cord could learn, could forget, could remember, and actually could make decisions.
There'd be 2 therapists walking Alec's legs and another one holding him down on the treadmill. And we started to notice Alec could move his legs on command. This was amazing. It gave us great hope after seeing him recover.
Dr. John McDonald runs the Center for Activity-Based Recovery at the Kennedy Krieger Institute in Baltimore.
The concept of the pattern generator is that there's mini circuitry built into the spinal cord, and we know this from animal studies, that you can basically sever the nervous system and that animal will run, and it'll even adapt. So we know the spinal cord controls walking. So in today's world where we know, absolutely know, that recovery can occur long after an injury, okay, that's what Chris proved. And many others in retrospect have shown that. The cure is only going to be available to those individuals who optimize their own spontaneous regeneration, recovery of function, but who simultaneously maintain the physical part of their body. For those who don't, there is no cure. It doesn't matter what comes down the road.
I'm learning more and more that it's changing my body. After 30 years of not walking, the changes are not dramatic. They're very subtle, and sometimes they're somewhat hidden. But the more energy I put into it, the more I find that it's a worthy venture. I don't want the train to pass me by and not be ready for when good the developments do come about.
Early activity is important. Early weight bearing is important. Getting up, standing up, putting weight on the legs is very, very important. And it's not only important for the recovery of standing and walking. It's important for other reasons. For example, cardiovascular changes that can occur after injury. For example, heart rate and blood pressures can change dramatically after spinal cord injury.
1 hour of just complete, unrelentless movement is a gift, and the muscle tone has come back. The legs are stretched, the bones are stronger, and it's preparing me for, in my mind, the unquestionable knowledge that there's a possibility to get out of these wheelchairs.
It's clear that activity-based interventions not only can improve function, but it can improve quality of life, overall health, and certainly can get people back into the workplace, can reduce secondary complications such as broken bones and pressure sores, and there's a whole list of those. Diabetes, heart problems because of lack of activity. And I think it will become self-evident to the insurance companies that this is a financially advantageous route to go.
And I started thinking, my background was from developmental neuroscience. I was going, why are we sending people home and telling them not to do anything? I go, the benefits of exercise are enough reason, but the mechanism of regeneration suggests that activity is important. So we started doing it with a group of patients that we had there. 100% of the people in the restorative therapy group got the benefits of exercise, doubled their muscle volume in their legs, reduced fat by half, had the reverse of the glucose intolerance, the lipid disorders, dramatically improved the strength of those legs, while simultaneously reducing spasticity.
Treadmill therapy is still mostly experimental, but community programs are on the way. The Christopher Reeve Foundation has a program called the Neuro Recovery Network. It supports clinics across the U.S. to advance activity-based treatments. Visit ChristopherReeve.org for details.
We're hoping in the next 5 years that the availability of locomotor training and other activity-based strategies will be available across the country.
Today, after 6 years of different exercises and working out and development, I'm now able to walk. I use walking sticks to keep my balance, which has also been affected, but essentially I walk on my own. The message basically is that activity-based recovery is essential to, and it's long-term, it's essential to recovery. It's not something you'll do for a year. It's something hopefully you'll do for the rest of your life. I realized that the huge gains that I saw in the first 6 months aren't going to replicate themselves. It's just not going to happen. But every month, I see something new that I can do, or I can do it better.
Taylor Isaacs, a personal trainer, has helped some of his paralyzed clients regain function.
Whole goal is to break up the vicious cycle of disability. It's not the spinal cord injury in and of itself that is life-threatening. It is the secondary complications and degenerative changes following spinal cord injury.
I am a recovering quadriplegic, and first and foremost, I'm an athlete. Love going fast. So, when I hit the ground that day, my life changed in a flash, and I knew exactly what happened. At the 1 year mark, actually, my insurance had deemed me pretty well rehabilitated. However, I was still in my wheelchair. When I first met Taylor, I knew it was on. I mean, from that moment, I told him, I just said, "You're going to fix my tattered body." I said, with my motivation and your education, we're gonna make it happen. I haven't used a wheelchair now in, I'd say, 8 months to a year, almost.
The relationship between fitness and health, and even recovery, is becoming clearer. The bottom line, the process of recovery isn't over until the individual says it is.
It's my belief that the importance of this training is that you're giving patients the opportunity to continue to get better. All too often we give up on patients, right? Insurance companies and others will say, well, if they're not walking by X period of time, well, forget it, they're not going to be able to walk. What these studies prove to us is, don't give up.
I mean, who knows? Who knows what's possible? I don't like to listen to what can't be done. And I've been told by doctors and whoever that I'm not supposed to do anything. I'm not supposed to feed myself. Well, I'm riding a tandem bike. I'm stoked.